Hello, everybody. It is Sunday, the October 11th, and I hope everybody is doing well. Hope you guys had a great weekend. It is Sports Pop Talk, where you guys come and hang out with us for the hour. So if you're watching on the rewind, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting, and we just want to say, God bless. Hope everybody is doing extremely well. Hope you had a great week. And we honestly had a lot of things going on in the world of Funkos, but we also have a lot of things going on in the world of sports. So we will definitely dive into that right after this. All right, and hello. We're checking out the chat real quick, saying hello to Alex Conway and the lovely Christina Payne. Good morning, good morning. And so we are going to go ahead and get into the world of sports here. We got a lot of things that are kind of going on. However, I don't want to just talk just me, so I'm going to need somebody to talk to. So let me go ahead and bring on my co-host here. Let me go ahead and get him pulled up. And there he is, Mr. Torrey. How are you? Unuseful unboxing. How's things?
Everything's good.
So busy week. Did you have any success with the New York Comic-Con? Obviously, in your neck of the woods, was there anything different being that it's close in your town? Anything special? Anything,
No, I mean, nothing was going on because, it didn't happen,
right.
Like in place. So, but I mean, I was like, I'm not going to bother going out. I thought maybe I would go out because I had heard that Fox and Clara were going out.
Yeah, I actually saw their video on Instagram. It's pretty cool. They were in the Mando costume and the Baby Yoda.
Yeah, but it was, I don't know. They were like, I was like, oh, when are you going? It's like 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that.
Well, it's what people feel as necessary, obviously, whether it's camping out for PS5 or making sure that you secure a spot, for a Comic-Con exclusive pop. I pretty much had some success. I had some roadblocks as well. Like I went into one of the Targets at 8 o'clock in the morning. And obviously, I was looking for the display and stuff, and there was nothing there. And the two people that were working by electronics had like Doug, the Flock Doug and Bugs Bunny, and then they had like stuff that wasn't really in association. And they're like, "Oh, well, we didn't get our stuff. They didn't know where it was. They didn't get it." I'm like, "Okay, you got that shipment probably like somewhere in that last week of September."
Yeah.
And so I ended up leaving and just going to other Targets, trying to find other Targets, but I kept having an issue with those Targets, of running out of stock or not, whatever the case. So anyways, I circled back to that original Target, and I pretty much went head to head with the manager that was in that area and then one of the workers, and they try to explain everything like, well, sometimes shipments get sent to other stores, like it should be our shipment, but they get two of them, or like they give you all this crap, and then you're just like, look, Okay, it's a street date for today. Like people were expecting this. All the other targets have them. Like, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, give me 10 minutes. I'm gonna go in the back room, and then soon enough he comes out with the case,
Right. Yeah.
and it's like, like come on, like don't act like we're just not knowing what we're talking about. So, but anyways, let's.
That's just an employee thing. I mean, my targets, because I didn't go anywhere for NYCC, but uh for the Blacklight and for ECCC, I went to Target, and it was the same thing. They didn't have this stuff out when the store opened, like they
Yeah.
should have. That's
Right.
how it should be, but they had to go in back and get it. I mean, they were really good about it. They went right away, got it, and they had what they had. But yeah, I mean, I was able to get stuff online on Hot Topic. I got the Comic Book Guy, Nightwing, and Red Goblin.
Nice. Yeah, I wasn't. I don't know, the comic book guy. I wasn't as into as much. I mean, I like The Simpsons, but it's a it's a lot of line of stuff. Like I like the Bart zombie Bart.
Yeah, I only bought it. I wasn't gonna get it. It's not something I wanted, but I got it because I figured I had heard a lot of people talking about it, and I thought like it would be a good investment sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean that's why I picked up Danny Phantom. Um, and I for the most part I got a lot of decent stuff. I'm still gonna do a video on it. In regards, and I have a couple of things that some people were going to get for me, and just kind of go from there. So, but anyways, so we're talking sports. So today, Tori, NBA. Right now, we are locked into a 3-2. We actually have a battle. I mean, what first I thought was going to be a sweep. Jimmy Butler has pretty much, this guy here has said, you know what, I'm going to put these guys on my back, and the Butler is doing it. He's keeping them in the run of a battle. So it's definitely a contest. Now, if the Heat wins today, okay, if they do win today and force the game 7, now most likely the Lakers probably pull it out. But if the Lakers lose today, how does that change the psyche of the two teams? Touch on that, like, as the Heat, it gives you like it's an all throw everything out there like game 7. It's like, hey guys, we got a chance to be champions, knock off who everybody thought was going to win, blah blah blah.
Right.
So if that game gets to game 7, I mean, what do you think? How does that change the psyche of the two teams?
I mean, I think it just, I think it'll fire up LeBron. If LeBron gets pushed to a game 7 where he thought like they had it in the bag, that would.
He's been in this situation before and has come through of not coming through.
Right.
But
right.
does he have the cast surrounding him? I mean, do other guys have to be hot? Because if you just rely on LeBron, I mean, the Heat, you can say, hey, here, you can go get your 40 points, your 45 points, whatever. We're going to take out everybody else. And
right. Well, that's the thing. Like, maybe is this the end of? Is this going to be, if the Heat do win, is this sort of the end of the super team where like guys, because on the Lakers, really Anthony Davis and LeBron James are the super team, and
Right.
everyone around it is like supporting cast. Not, you don't have like, it's not like the Warriors super team was different because they were all drafted by the Warriors for the most part, right?
Well, except for their their
Except for Durant.
yeah. But I mean, the thing is too is the window right now is open, but it's a small open of a window because when the NBA can get back into full swing, you're going to have teams like the Warriors, that are going to come through and they're going to get draft picks, they're going to get free agents. Like you're going to have these teams like Milwaukee, they're going to get better. So with the way the situation is right now, I mean, you do have an opportunity to put the Lakers in that championship, form. But the Heat, like I said, they are applying the heat. They are bringing it. Butler is saying we're not going to go down easily, and there's a reason why we're here in representing the East. So, if it all started, nobody would have picked the Heat. You would have looked to the Celtics, you would have looked to Milwaukee, Toronto. So, I mean, you have, this guy here, Butler is saying, you know what, that's right, one at a time, one at a time. And so we'll see what happens. M3 Lions, how are you, bud? How's it going? How's things going? Hope you're doing well. Hope the boys are doing well. But that's kind of what we're looking at. So we'll see that today is game 6. So we'll see if it continues through. But by next Sports Pop Talk, we should know how it all pretty much unfolded. So the next thing to kind of get into is some baseball, Tori. So you've got basically, unfortunately, your Yankees, they did fall short. Mike Rousseau hit that home run off of Aroldis Chapman in that battle of that 8th inning. And they were able to defeat the Yankees and advance, and they're now going to play the Houston Astros. So I was kind of hoping maybe to get that Dodger-Yankee historic old school rivalry. But, it's obviously not going to happen. Right now, the Dodgers, they're going to lock up with the Atlanta Braves, which, the two best offenses this year, they're going to take center stage. The Dodgers led in runs, but the Braves were only one behind. So now, obviously, the Braves, they took on a different route with the Marlins and who else did they play? Chicago. And so they haven't faced the Dodgers, obviously, in the playoffs in this firepower. So we'll see how it shapes up. I mean, I still kind of think the Dodgers are on a mission with everything that went down. And, both squads definitely have the firepower. So we'll see what happens. But over the years, they've had some historic, battles and rivalries. Okay. My question I would ask you, Tori, is does a MLB benefit by having a rematch of the Houston Astros and the Dodgers? Would it be beneficial to see the Dodgers come in and say sweep the Astros? Or, I mean, would you even want the chance of the Astros even coming back through and winning again? Like, so how do you see that?
Well, I think it would be pretty beneficial because, I think a lot of people feel like the sports season is, sort of like, it is what it is. Like, they're not excited about this season now because of everything that's been going on. So I think that a Dodgers Astros rematch would really spark people's interest.
See,
And
I'm looking at it differently. Like in all honesty, like I mean, I think the Yankees, Dodgers would have been nice, but I think if you see, like, I think you kind of have to have a different movie on screen, because when you're looking at this, world of COVID and the sports and how they're adjusting and getting through everything the best they can, you're also adding, okay, sure, there's a little bit of, you know, uh, bitterness, between the two clubs. Maybe you have a couple of throwing behind the back pitches, maybe a little plunk here and there. You might have the Dodgers just come in and now, if the Dodgers come in with a vengeance and they sweep the Astros, does it really create a good formula for ratings for be able, you know what I mean? Because that's the hard part is, are you going to get the dramatics? Are you going to get it to push to game 7? That's what you look at. So you look at the other possible matchups where you have the Braves and the Rays, or the Rays and the Dodgers, or the Braves and the Astros. And so you look at all those matchups and you say, okay, what would be most intriguing?
yeah, I mean, I think Dodgers Rays would probably be the best matchup, like playing wise, but I think that story wise, like you could make one hell of a story out of Houston and the Dodgers.
Okay. Well, look, we're going to go ahead and see how that unfolds. We shall know, how that goes pretty soon. And we can get an idea of what the census of people. Let us know in the chat. What do you guys think? Would you like to see, baseball fans, would you like to see a rematch of the Astros and Dodgers? So you basically, we have, is next year, yeah. So I mean, that's the thing is, what do you see for baseball? What would you like to see? You got the Braves and the Dodgers. You got the Astros and the Tampa Bay Rays. So, but let's get into football, Tori, because there's a lot that's going on with that as well. So we actually have. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Like I said, I'm kind of glad that I actually bought a webcam. So I'm still working on my camera, but it is what it is. So the Patriots and the Broncos are postponed. Okay. As of right now, the Titans and Bills are still set for Tuesday. Now the Titans and Bills, on the Titans, they have a staff member, maybe possibly medical, maybe assistant coach, but they have a staff member that tested positive today. Okay, so they may have to do something with that game. But the Patriots and the Broncos, they were going to play on Monday, but now what's happening with this, Tori, is they're getting postponed till next Sunday. The Patriots were going to have a bye next Sunday, and the Broncos were going to play the Miami Dolphins. So now the Miami Dolphin Bronco game will get pushed into a different scenario, and the Patriots and Broncos will obviously play. So in essence, this week would be their bye. So that's kind of what they're doing, is they're playing the musical teams and moving pieces around and trying to make them fit. Now, are we going to do this each week and say, okay, it is what it is. We're just going to keep postponing and keep moving pieces around to get this season going and keep it going? Or is there going to be a point where they're going to be like, I don't know if we can, like, I mean, because what if how many teams can you put on the schedule in one day? Like, on Monday night, you're having people play like it's a Sunday. So it takes away that Monday night football draw. Do you put 2 teams Sunday night instead of Monday? You know what I mean? There's all kinds of things to look at. And yeah, I mean, Formula One and M3 Lions will actually I will touch on some of that next week. I will definitely look into some of the Formula One that's going on out there, and do some of the race car racing, and kind of do a little bit of that. I definitely will touch on that. So, I mean, I know that a lot of that's going on as well. But what do you think, Tori? I mean, they're postponing it. Obviously there's going to be some games commencing today, but what's your thoughts?
I mean, I think the way football is, I think it's way too hard once you start canceling multiple games a week, or even just one game a week. Because, in baseball and in basketball, you have off days. So you can play, if you don't have that many cancellations, you can make up those games with off days or double headers in baseball. But in football, you can't really. I mean, I guess you could. There are teams that play on Sunday and Thursday. So the minimum would be 3 days off, I would think.
Right. Which, I mean, you have to understand, when you hear these athletes, they talk about the rigors of playing on Thursday night football, and how they feel, like their bodies, and just the bumps and the bruises. Like, for example, ones that, they play Thursday night, but then they don't have to play till next Sunday. They actually need those extra days
Right.
of the rest. But the ones that play on Sunday, and now they have to come and play on Thursday on a shorter rest, it creates a huge, on that game, it creates problems, physically. And
Right.
even though they're playing and they're athletes.
And it's just, I don't see a way that they could keep doing this and have a real season.
So
I just
it
think
seems like
you're gonna
shorten the season, right? I mean, shorten it down.
Well, I don't think you could even shorten it. I mean, unless, yeah, if you kept the season 17 weeks, but only, instead of 16 games, you played 14 games or 13 games and had more off weeks, then I could see it. But the season already started. So you can't really do that now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe you play the 17. Maybe you play the 17 weeks, and then see who can get however many games in, and then after those 17 weeks, instead of going right to the playoffs, you do like a round robin for the teams that are on the bubble of the playoffs, sort of like what the NBA did.
Right.
So, that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL has a major issue that's dealt to them. They're gonna. It's not gonna. They can't just say, we're gonna beat this each week. We're gonna, because I mean, you never know how things are gonna pop up, or how this virus transfers itself into a facility, or whatever the case may be. So I mean, they're definitely, they're stuck, and they're trying to figure out how they can get out of this. But I mean, it's still good to see football. It's still good to be participating, like, with fantasy, and the fantasy football and things like that. But so let's talk about some of these games today. With the NFL, I'm gonna see if I can pull this up real quick. Is there any game that stands out for you today?
Let Let me pull up the games real quick.
Well, I have it right now, so I was gonna. I'll show it to you. So let's see. You got the NFL schedule.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So for example, you got you got the Texans and the Jaguars. Now the Texans, they got a new coach. They fired the coach. They're obviously 0-4. Does this help bump the team's morale? Does it really get them off the ground a little bit and be like, okay, let's it's a new change, or is it?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's also, there's also you're learning, and I think there's a transition period there,
Okay.
where you're learning it's a new dynamic that you're learning.
Well, I think the coach has already been on he's part of the staff. So I mean, I think
Oh,
it's his different. It's Romeo Cornell.
oh,
So,
right. Yeah. Okay. So,
it's just kind of like his personality, his way he sees things, opposed to, the former coach with them. So, Brian. Um, Now you got the Bengals. Obviously the quarterback, a rookie, is off to a pretty hot start this year. He doesn't have a lot around him still that they're defensively and offensively. I mean, they're still trying to make connections with some wide receivers. But Burrow has, played extremely well for, a kid coming out of college. He looks pretty polished. But the Bengals, they get the Ravens, and the Ravens have usually pretty much handled the Bengals. So we'll see how that shapes up today. I mean, do you see like maybe possible as an upset? Do you think Burrow and the Bengals are able to claw their way, with the Ravens? Or, I mean, do you think Lamar Jackson kind of settles in and handles things?
I mean, I think the Ravens have the experience, so I'd probably pick them. But you know, it would it would be a good game to watch. To see Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow.
Well, I mean, the Ravens have some defense, so I mean, are they gonna blitz him and come after him? So, are we gonna see, where he's running all over the place, you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
that's kind of what you want to look at is how it's a good test for the rookie. Okay. So we got the Panthers and the Falcons. Now, the Falcons have found ways to lose this year. They seem to be talented, but they're struggling. The coaching is not there right now. The Panthers have been kind of sneaky. Arizona, they beat Arizona. They've kind of come in like, hey, we don't have that quarterback anymore, but we still have some other guys that get the job done. So they're the underdogs today, but they're actually feeling more like a favorite. How do you feel about the Panthers and the Falcons?
I mean, I think with the Falcons, it's the same old story. Like Matt Ryan, every year, Matt Ryan's at like he ends up at the top of like passing yards and stuff. But
Mhm.
the Falcons never seem like as a team they do that well. You know?
Yeah, they seem to fail on most of the sides of the ball right now.
Yeah,
So what I look for the Panthers to pretty much win that game today.
yeah.
Now here's a team that has a tendency to own the other team, even though you think it's division, you think you're going to get a good game. The Raiders and the Chiefs. Now, going from Las Vegas to Kansas City is a little bit different than from Oakland, but it's still somewhat. It's that West Coast, going to the Midwest. The Raiders have not really fared very well with the Chiefs. Now, teams have kind of like it seemed like the Chiefs haven't been like on all cylinders, but they're still the defending champs. They still look to be the team to beat. So, I mean, is this a game that is it a double digit blowout, or do you think the Raiders have enough to keep it close?
I don't know if it's a blowout, but I mean, I would expect the Chiefs to win, but you know, you never know. I mean, listen, anything can happen, but you know, I can't imagine. I mean, Mahomes is on another level. So, and then you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So,
Yeah, I mean, he has the weapons. I mean, definitely there's that. But and I don't know if the Raiders have enough in a game plan to stay with him. I think Kansas City wins this one pretty handily. Maybe as they get to the fourth quarter, they turn it into that double digit. I'd be surprised if the Raiders hang with the Chiefs today. Now, the team that has been struggling, and they have a lot of promise and talk, especially at quarterback with Kyler Murray, is the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals are going to play the Jets. And now, anytime you play the Jets, I mean, you're thinking, okay, yeah, we got this game, we're going to win. But at the same time, is it a trap game? Is this a game? Can it be a trap game for the Cardinals, because they have to win? Like they have to get off this schneid of this 2-game losing streak. If they come and lose the Jets today, like, I mean, that kind of like cancels your season. I mean, for a team that's looking to make the playoffs.
yeah, I mean, if you come in and you lose to the Jets, I mean, that says a lot. Right.
Well, I mean, the Jets, they're going to get Le'Veon Bell back. They're going to go to a different quarterback today. The guy from Baltimore, Joe Flacco, is going to take the helm. He's got experience, but does he have enough parts around him to create an upset? Now, if the Jets get off to a 2-touchdown lead and give them some confidence, maybe they pull it out. But I think this is a game the Cardinals have to win. There's no question about it. They can't lose this game at all. So the East Coast, this is always a tough matchup, because even though on paper you think that we got the Steelers and the Eagles, and on paper, obviously the Steelers have a great defense. They got a lot of things going for them. The Eagles coming off their upset over the 49ers last week. But does the Eagles and Steelers, I mean, obviously that's a cross, you got that Philly, you got the Pittsburgh, they don't like each other.
Right. Yeah.
So, for me, I look at the Steelers sometimes as those teams that kind of plays down to the competition. I mean, sometimes you get up, like the Steelers can get up to play the Ravens. They can get up to play the Bengals. It's their division. But when you're playing a team that you feel like you could beat, you know what I'm saying? So, like Glenn says, if you lose to the Jets and the Lions, you can probably start looking at the draft. Well, Arizona did lose to the Lions. So, if they do lose to the Jets, they better start looking at the draft. But, and the Lions have always been kind of sneaky. They're a team you should beat. But if you leave them around, if you leave a team around and don't bury them early, they have a tendency to come up and bite you. Now, the Eagles, I mean, is this a team again? I mean, they came off the win against the Niners last week. Now, Niners didn't have their quarterback. He comes back today against Miami. But I mean, the Steelers are a different type of team right now than the Niners. I mean, their defense is a lot stronger. So do you see Philadelphia coming off of that wave of last week and riding into Pittsburgh and being able to carry that momentum, or do you think it's going to be the steel curtain shutting everything down?
I mean, I think you gotta go with the Steelers, but maybe the Eagles. Is Wentz still starting?
Yeah, you have Wentz. Or wait, you have you have Wentz.
Wentz is still starting for them. So, Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta go with the Steelers. I was gonna say maybe if they had Jalen Hurts in there, then, but yeah, I think the Steelers with Roethlisberger is just, you know,
Well, I mean, they're gonna have to go to Miles Sanders early. They're gonna have to establish, because the Steelers they're pretty much giving up less than 60 yards um, on the ground. They have not allowed a 100-yard rusher. So basically, Miles is gonna have to be that guy for the key for them to kind of put things in motion for that. So, the Eagles, they're gonna have to be able to try to stay with them. They're gonna have to look to go to Greg Ward, the receiver. His role is in the slot is going to be very crucial. Um, so and basically they're going to have to protect Carson Wentz. But if the Steelers are able to create that, havoc and upset and get in there and move Carson Wentz around and shut Miles down, I mean Steelers are going to have a field day. So uh, we will go from there. So we have pretty much another interesting battle because it's once again, does the teams play down to the level of competition? So you got the Washington Redskins and the Rams, the LA Rams, going head to head. Now, obviously, on paper, the Rams, should handle the Washington Redskins or the Washington football team. Um, you know what I mean? But I mean, is this a team where if you don't start out of the gate and you leave them around, um, because Washington does have a strong front. They do have a strong front. They have some players. They're benching Haskins and they're going with Kyle Allen. So how do you? I mean, the Rams. Do you think they go in and take care of business and win? Pretty handily, or do you think they're going to get into that fourth quarter, look up at the clock, and find themselves in a battle, struggling with the Redskins?
well, I mean, you know, I think Washington's kind of they're sort of a rookie driven team right now, with Chase Young, Antonio Gibson, Gandy Golden. So, I think it all relies on when. I mean, they need the quarterback to sort of blend it together. But,
Hey, Cody.
I'd go in there saying that, I'd expect the Rams to win, but it's going to be close. I
Well, when
think.
you
I
have
think
Cup.
it could be close.
Yeah, I mean they have Cup. They have Cooper. They're going to get their rookie Cam Akers is expected to return back. They still got Malcolm Brown. So obviously the Rams, whether or not Goff can get them off the ground, but when Washington has the ball, like I said, they did bench Dwayne Haskins and they replaced him with Kyle Allen, but Dwayne Haskins didn't do that bad last week if you look at the stats. So it's kind of funny how it's you're looking at that. Um, but they have Antonio Gibson. He rushed for 46 yards and a touchdown. You also have J.D. McKissick and Terry McLaurin, are kind of coming into their own. But now they have to go with a different quarterback to get those timing routes and the feel of things. So you have some rookie safeties. You have your cornerbacks. There's a lot that on that side of the ball for Washington that doesn't look to pretty much go strong against the Rams. But I still look at the Rams as one of those teams that does play to the level of competition. And not only that, Who did the Rams play last week? They played the Giants, right?
Yeah, I think.
And the week before that, they played Buffalo, right? So this is their third trip back to the East. Okay. I mean, the schedule makers, for some reason, don't like the Rams, I guess. But they're going to the East Coast again. And so, I mean, that still kind of wears you down a little bit for the teams when you're going from the West Coast to the East Coast. It still has to train you a little bit. So I think it's an opportunity for the Redskins to get the upset. I think it's with that, and if they stay in that game, if Kyle Allen is able to move the ball around, I think that you could see a closer game. But I mean, the Rams should take care of business, but I don't know how this game's going to go. I'm kind of kind of tossed on it, with it. So let's look at so your Giants and Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? But now the Cowboys offense, if they just played just basically sorely off of offense, basically like if that was the only thing, they would be undefeated. They would be winning. But their other side of the ball, their defensive side of the ball, has been struggling and allowing teams to pretty much take care of business. But Dak Prescott is playing phenomenal. He's racking up the yards. So you still have that rivalry. You have Cowboys and Giants. It's in the division. The Giants played well against the Rams. Do you see that front? You see the defense hanging in there?
I don't know. I mean, it's the rivalry of the Giants and the Cowboys, so I think they're gonna play each other tough, but neither team's going anywhere. So I don't. I mean, I think it's probably going to be closer. I mean, I'm looking at the line. The Cowboys are 7.5 point favorites.
Right.
It's probably going to be closer than that because neither team's like amazing, but I don't know.
Well, you don't know what you're getting. You definitely don't know what you're getting out of that. It's the Cowboys and Giants. It's a rivalry. So it should be pretty much, you would think it could be a shootout. But it could be a 3-0 game. I mean, you really never know with those two teams. So, we'll have to see. Now, the 49ers and the Dolphins. So the Dolphins are going to travel to California to play the Niners. Garoppolo comes back today to man the offense and to get things kind of going. So we'll definitely be seeing. I mean, the Niners, they're one of those teams, in the Super Bowl. They're kind of struggling differently than the Chiefs. They've had some injuries. They're starting to get some of their pieces together, and then hopefully maybe get some flow and momentum with their offense. But they are playing a team that, for the most part, they should beat. I mean, they've had their way with Miami over the years. I mean, even like if you look back in the Super Bowl, this is a team that they probably could get corrected on pretty good. But Miami also with Ryan Fitzpatrick and, like sometimes they put up those games where you don't expect them to be in it, and all of a sudden it's a close game in the fourth quarter. So is it going to be Tua time, or are they going to continue with Fitzpatrick? So we'll see. I think the Niners pretty much will probably handle the Dolphins. I think they win by 10 at least today. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta go with the Niners here. Well, I don't know. I mean, the Dolphins are sort of up in the air with really just, I mean, the whole like picking Tua in the draft is going to be interesting because is he gonna? That's like the story, I think. Is Tua ever for the Dolphins this season? Is Tua actually gonna? Was it worth the gamble?
Right.
But I don't think like for this season, the Dolphins are gonna do much.
Well, it's
So,
different in Cincinnati. I mean, you have Burrow, you have the number one pick. You kind of have to see what you got and put them out there and test them. With Tua, you can kind of bring them along. Maybe you give them some spots here and there. Maybe if it gets to the point where the season is lost, you have him start a game just to see what your future kind of, if he's able to kind of run the show. That way, you heading in the draft, you kind of know what you're looking at.
well, and you also want to make sure that when you put Tua on the field, that he's 100% healthy.
Right. Yeah, I mean you have
So,
a investment. You want to make sure that you can back that investment. So now the other game that's really exciting today, just to kind of see how it unfolds, is you have the Colts and the Browns. Now they're both 3-1. The Colts, coming in with a really strong defense this year. Um, the Cleveland Browns have the NFL leading running game, but they're now without Nick Chubb. And so they're going up against Indy's top 5 run defense. Um, it's basically going to be a test on both sides of the ball. It's basically going to be a good matchup of both teams going at each other. Yamano. So that's kind of what you're looking at. The Colts, kind of keep things in check in their games. They did a good job with the Bears. How do you see this being like a low scoring game? Do you think the defense for the Colts are going to keep the Browns in check, or do you think the Browns are going to continue to surprise?
I mean, I could see the Browns continuing to surprise. Maybe Baker Mayfield's finally living up to what he was thought to be out of the gate. And, it'll be interesting to see if, I mean, they do have periphery weapons.
Well, talking
So,
about the weapons, you got wide receiver Odell Beckham. He has basically led all receivers. Last week, he led all receivers. He ranked third across all the positions. Can he sustain, the direction of that? He hasn't had, consecutive games, where he's done really well in a while. I think week 13 and 14 of the 2015 season. But Odell Beckham is obviously a talent, and it gives Baker Mayfield a weapon to go to. So they're going to need that today to go up against that stingy defense of the Colts.
yeah.
So we have one of the games tonight that we get into, which is always interesting because it's prime time, and it seems like the NFL does this on purpose. But you have the Vikings going to the Seahawks. Now with the Vikings, obviously the quarterback, he has not done well on prime time. I think he's like 0-10 in regards to that. And so when you look at that offense and the defense on both sides, both sides are not bad, but is the Vikings going to be able to come in to Seattle and give the Seahawks defense problems? Are they going to be able to have that opportunity to get through? Are you going to blitz? Are you not going to blitz? How should the Seattle defense play the Vikings? Their receivers, are really hot right now. They got their first win, against the Houston team last week. but all of their losses, the Vikings' losses, were against tough caliber teams. They lost to the Titans, the Colts, Packers. So now they're getting the Seahawks. And obviously that's a good matchup between the two, that they've kind of gone back and forth. I mean, Russell Wilson is playing awesome. He knows how to pick apart defenses. So how does Vikings keep up with Seattle?
I think Russell Wilson wins this game. I mean, you know, until they lose, I mean, they're just too good. Russell Wilson's just too good to, you know.
Well, so you think this is going to be like a shootout type game, because the Seahawks have struggled to stop opposing quarterbacks, and they've basically, they can stop the run, which is going to present a problem with Dalvin Cook. But as far as everything else goes, the the addition of the quarterbacks and the offense and the receivers, does this become a struggle to where it is a shootout? And so basically you're saying, okay, Wilson is going to get the better end of it because he's the better quarterback, and he's going to take the team on his shoulders and say, you know what, we're not going to have the defense today, but I'm going to get it done with the legs and the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you have a quarterback that can do what Wilson does, it makes it very hard for a non-elite team to stop him.
Well, I mean, the Vikings, like Justin Jefferson, he's been a baller. He's been really good. The Seahawks have had an issue with receivers, in the secondary. Receivers are putting up good numbers. Vikings have good receivers. So obviously, you got Dalvin Cook to run, so there's a little bit of balance, that the Seahawks are going up against. So, I mean, the fact is, it's obviously in Seattle, where obviously Russell Wilson does amazing. Kirk Cousins doesn't seem to do well in prime time. So it's, what's the tail of the tape? Is this the same situation where Seattle comes out on top based off of Wilson, or do the Vikings have enough to jump out, and run with the Seahawks and maybe have, a little bit of luck, with Cousins, in the end?
I mean, I think, look, Kirk Cousins is a veteran, so I think, anything can happen because, like you said, they do have the weapons to make it happen. They have Adam Thielen, they have Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. But I don't know. I think Russell Wilson just overcomes it, and I think he's able to overcome any shortcomings that the offense has in the game because he is able to do it all.
Well, the other factor that has always been a factor, at CenturyLink, has been the crowd noise. Now, obviously, there's not the fans in the stands. So does that impact? Because, a team like Seattle that might thrive on that fan noise, having that as a 10th man, whether it's offensively or defensively, now Kirk Cousins comes into it. He doesn't really have to deal with that. I mean, now he can just kind of come in and be like, okay, it's, our team against their team. I'm not really dealing with the crowd level. So can I go and find my receivers? Can I, get the running game going? With that 10th man out, does that kind of swing the pendulum over to the Vikings?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we would have already seen that, that come into effect. I mean, how many games have they played at? Well, I guess the better question would have, the question then is, who have the Seahawks played at home?
Who have they played?
Yeah, at home.
Let's see. Let's take a look here at their schedule. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, so they played the Cowboys and the Patriots at home. So the Patriots, they won 35-30, which
Right.
very well could be that type of game today. And also the Cowboys 38-31. So I mean, the Seahawks have been averaging 30 plus points in their games. So the question is if the Vikings offense, which they are capable of staying with Seattle, and what's going to come down to the better defense, you aren't going to have the crowd noise to factor in that goal line stand or, the field goal kicking or, whatever the case may be. But even the Dolphins, were able to keep it within pretty much a touchdown and then a 2-point conversion. I mean, does Seattle continue their ways, under Russell Wilson? How's it going, Evan? Do they consider it, or does the Vikings, right the ship and, they have the squad to come in and say, you know what, you guys have gotten us in the past, but we have the receiving core, we have the running back, we have the opportunity to show you we're the better team this year. So who do you like in that game?
I mean, I like the Seahawks. Like I said, I think Russell Wilson is too dynamic to, to bet against, unless it's like a really good team, which the Vikings have not. They have good pieces, but they haven't been a good team yet. So.
Okay. Now, what about let's we'll look at now. Obviously, the Broncos and Patriots have been moved to next Sunday. They're going to pretty much have their buys this week because of things that are going on. So they're going to basically have their game moved to next week. You still have the Titans and the Bills, who possibly will play Tuesday. But the Monday night game is the Chargers and the Saints. Now, the Chargers had some pretty good defensive effort against Tampa Bay. However, they still gave up, a lot on the other side of the ball with being able to beat Detroit. The Saints are at home. Do you see the Saints getting recovering and getting healed quickly here with the Chargers coming in, or do you think the Chargers defense can give some fits to the Saints core?
Well, the Chargers are another one that it's sort of, they have a rookie quarterback in Justin Herbert who is playing well. And so I could see the Chargers winning this game.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's also, the Saints have Breeze and Michael Thomas. So,
well, and it's still questionable on Michael Thomas.
right, yeah.
The Saints, the Saints definitely aren't going to go marching in right now. They're not on all cylinders like they should be or that they've had in the past. So they're a different type of team at this point in the season. So I mean, definitely the Chargers, they always seem to be that gritty team that fights and you really have to earn your win if you do beat them. So we'll see how that game, plays out on Monday night. Who do you said that you like the Chargers possibly winning that game?
Yeah, I could see a Chargers upset.
Okay. So the other game that's kind of interesting. Now you got the Buffalo Bills, who are off to a great start. Their Josh Allen is playing worldly right now. He's doing amazing, stepping into his own. But they're taking on the Tennessee Titans. Now Tannehill worked some magic last year, getting the Titans to the playoffs. They got the beast in Henry, and they're gritty. It's always remember the Titans. Now they've had some issues this week that has pushed the game to Tuesday. So they're going to be playing. We get football on Tuesday, but they're going to be playing. How do you see the Buffalo Bills being able to continue their dominance so far this year, or do you think the Titans are able to be like, you know what, we got you. We're going to come in and give you your first loss.
I mean, listen, when Josh Allen came into the league, when he was drafted, everyone, he was drafted high. Everyone thought he was going to be a good quarterback. And then he sort of never found his footing. But maybe it just took him some time. Maybe this is the Josh Allen everyone expected. So, and they do have some other pieces around him. So maybe the Bills are for real.
Well, I mean, it's a window of opportunity with Brady not there at the Patriots.
Right.
You look at that division. Miami's really not in a position to challenge, the Jets. So, I mean, it pretty much is Buffalo's division to say, hey, we have an opportunity. And they didn't do that bad last year in the playoffs. So it gives Allen a little bit more maturity. I mean, he's proven to be one of the better quarterbacks in that class group, like with Darnold and Baker Mayfield. And I don't mind Josh Allen at all. I got his rookie card signed. He signed his rookie card for us last year. So I'm excited about that. So I want him to do well. But that is your NFL wrap up, guys. I mean, that's pretty much the games that are going on right now. Each week it's a different story with which team is going to be or which game is going to be pushed back. Because we've had a consistency with that now. And the NFL basically has a major issue dealt to them having to scramble and move things around. Sure, you can say, okay, you know what, these two teams now have buys. They're going to play in their bye week, but what happens once we get out of buys, we're all out of them, or the team that's coming off of a bye, something happens, you can only do that so many times. So, I mean, we can't play games every day, right? I mean, the football, the ability to play a physical game like that takes a lot out of you. You need to rest. You need to have that heal. So we'll see how it shapes up. You got some teams that are undefeated, like the Buffalo Bills, Seattle Seahawks. How do you see that Minnesota-Seattle game? You're going with Seattle?
Yeah, Seattle.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna jump on the Vikings ship. I think they find a way to do this on the road. I think that the wide receivers are going to do some damage, but we'll see how that wraps up. Now the Indianapolis Colts and the Cincinnati Bengals. Colts tough D. Bengals got some wide receiving core. They got some offense. How do you see that game?
I'm gonna go with Burrow.
Okay, so you're going to go with Burrow. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Indianapolis, even though Luck isn't there, even though they've got a different quarterback, their running back, Marlon Mack, is not there, that they're still getting things done with their defense. I think that continues this week. I think Cincinnati keeps it close, maybe a couple of backdoor scores, but I think overall Indy keeps it low scoring and they come out with a win. Now you got the Steelers and the Eagles. How do you see that one going down?
Steelers.
Yeah, I think even though the Eagles came away last week beating the Niners, it was a Niners that was not run by Garoppolo. They got some injuries. I think a healthy Niners takes care of the Eagles. But it is the NFL, and you never know each week. It's all going to depend on Big Ben and how he spreads the ball around and that steel curtain defense. So I'm also going with the Steelers. So we'll see how that picks out. We have both liking the Steelers, and we're different on the other ones. So we shall see. But Tori, my friend, as always, I appreciate you hanging out with me for the hour, giving a little bit of input on your thoughts. Sorry about the Yankees, but unfortunately, like I said, hey, they're going up against a good team like Tampa Bay, who seems to be lock and loaded. Will it be the Rays and the Dodgers, who've had some history with their trades and stuff, or will the Astros shine one more time and put themselves in the controversy spotlight? So, other thing is Game 6 tonight, guys. You got the Heat and the Lakers. Will the Butler ring the bell and deliver the goods? We don't know. But Glenn Smith, Evan, Christina Payne, Cody, Popular Opinion, Lisa Noble, we appreciate you guys. Alex Conway, M3 Lions, Martin, we appreciate you guys stopping in, hanging out with us, spending a part of our day. And remember, until the next one, always have a good one. Stay safe. Go out and, with your loved ones, spend a little quality time, hug them, love them. Just realize that, hey, life is precious, but we love talking sports. And until the next one, guys, we'll see you guys around. Take care. Enjoy your day. As Christina Payne always says, spread the love. Got anything to say, Tori?
That's really it.
There you go. So Tori says that's it. So we're going to end it. Take care, guys. Until the next one, this is Sports Pop Talk. And let's go ahead and end it on